Hey horror fans, thanks for joining me for this review of The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. Sure he did. Likely story. Um, anyway, cast and crew information down below, and I guess there's several plots here on IMDb. I guess I'll just do the quick one and I'll just take you along with what's basically happening in this movie. The Warrens investigate a murder that may be linked to a demonic possession. Alright. Like I said, there's a couple other ones here on IMDb, but I'm not going to read through those a little bit longer. Telling you, it's involving one of their most popular or infamous cases here and so forth, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, let's jump into this. And I'm yes, to start, just a little reminder here of the Conjuring, and I guess the first one was in 2013, and I guess it's kind of set the stage here, and I think before we even talk about this movie, and I was just kind of seeing what some people have said, and a lot of people have basically been saying, this one is not better than either of the first two, and that's fine and valid. And being the third movie in the series, I really wouldn't expect it to be. But like I was about to go in this direction, is that I think regardless of wherever this movie lands, and my guess is there'll be at least one more of these movies. Purely, I guess. You know, The Conjuring is, when we look back, I guess now it might be harder to kind of think about, but I think when we look back at horror history, and maybe we're 20 years or 30 years from now, we look back at movies in the 2000s and the 2010s and going into the 2020s. I think The Conjuring has already made its place, and will now always be a part of horror history. I think, at least with the first movie, it really blew a lot of people away. A lot of people really loved that movie. And then a couple of years later, you have a sequel that, it was hard to come by, because were you really going to top the original? I know some people think it did. Again, and that's fine in their opinion. Certainly, both movies are really well made. The acting is great, and they do their best to try to scare you. But I think, on top of that, then you see where The Conjuring has led. It's led to spin-offs of The Nun and Annabelle, amongst others, and then there's other ones that are supposedly to come at some point in the future. So I think regardless of whatever you feel about The Conjuring, and about to talk about this one, it certainly has its place in horror history, and has made its mark, and as definitely will be one of the standout films of this certain time period, wherever it lands, whatever kind of time period you kind of throw that into. So going into a third movie, if people are saying, oh well, trying to make all these comparisons to the first two, that's might be a little bit unfair for it. I just, I would think that in most franchises, once you get to a third movie, it's really, really hard to, imagine it being better than the first one or better than the second one. It almost makes sense that it's not. But that doesn't mean it can't be a good movie. And I think that's really the point here. So let's talk about it. And I think one of the things that this one is a little different. They kind of do this one a little bit differently, as far as the story wise. It starts off kind of crazy. You have a little boy here that is possessed, and is in need of an exorcism, and they throw you right into it. They throw you. They don't wait too long. They're gonna throw you right into the craziness, and another wild exorcism scene. Everybody. We've seen lots of movies now with exorcism scenes, and a lot of it's kind of exorcism standard. What you expect to see. A lot of craziness going on in the room, chaos, priests chanting, maybe people in the room that shouldn't be in the room, stuff flying, the person who's possessed, saying crazy things, maybe bending backwards and doing all kinds of weird stuff with their bodies. And, how much new are we ever going to get with this? I don't know. But it is a little boy here, and they do some twisting and turning of his body, pretty crazy stuff. But through that, I guess at the end of the day, and I don't think this is a spoiler because this kind of sets up where the story goes, and I will try to be as spoiler free as possible as we talk about the later parts of this movie. During the exorcism, obviously it's not going well. Lorraine is kind of gets out of it, and actually both Ed and Lorraine have their own issues while this exorcism goes on, which kind of leaves the little boy at the mercy of the demon in a way, and what turns to be, I guess, his sister's, if you want to call soon-to-be fiance or boyfriend, I guess at the time, who I guess has a strong bond with him. Basically, in the moments there, he basically tells this demon or whatever you want to call it, "Hey, take me instead. Leave the little boy alone," and it basically takes it up for its offer. In turn, like I said, nobody really sees this except for Ed, but he's kind of ends up out of commission, so nobody knows really what's going on at the beginning. As things kind of calm down and everybody thinks, oh, it's gone, and so forth. Ed is the only one that kind of saw that happened, and so while everybody else thinks everything is back to normal, it's not. The little boy obviously is saved, but where you think the movie was going to follow the little boy, it doesn't. It then obviously follows this young man here, and let's see. I guess it's Arnie, and yeah, so it's going to follow him, and where he goes from this point. It's not going to take long, obviously, since the exorcism just happened, and now this demon or this whatever spirit is in him. It's not going to take long to kind of try to do its damage and come out and do whatever it's going to do here. Ed is going to recover and then tip everybody off that, hey, this is going to happen, and I'll take us to a certain point and then I'll kind of stop because I don't want to give the whole movie here. But if you know kind of what happens here is if I don't know if you're familiar with the original case. Like I mentioned, IMDb mentions a case that happened here, and I guess it happens. All the Conjuring movies are supposedly after cases of the Warrens did in real life. So this one kind of follows one in which this young man then ends up, soon after being possessed, ends up killing somebody, and he's obviously arrested. It's not one of those movies where people die and then, the police are oblivious to what's going on here, and it's up to other people to deal with it. No. He is arrested for this murder, and obviously, because Ed saw it and because of a few other things that eventually happened, they know that it's not him. It wasn't, like he wanted to commit this murder. It was obviously whatever is inside of him. Um, and they almost bring the point of ridiculousness, and kind of when it goes to court is they want to prove that he's innocent by demonic possession, and that's kind of what it is. And then they're off trying to figure out how they can prove that he has something inside of him. And then that's kind of where the story goes, and I won't. I've given you a lot of chunk of kind of the start of this movie and where this movie's going to go. So I won't go much further as they're going to go on the case and they're going to find out what is happening here. And like I said, this movie kind of goes in its own direction. What I mean by that is this, that while there is unusual happenings in this movie, it's not kind of similar to the first two movies. The first two movies, there are demons and ghosts, and it was kind of centralized on that, and it was a lot about the scares, and kind of keeping you that unease and what was happening through that. Obviously, the second one had to do more with the little girl, and is about kind of bringing you the scares in that direction. I'm not going to say that this one was heavy on the scares. I think they really kind of stuck to the story of it. And I guess once they kind of brought you that exorcism thing, they kind of kept to that and kind of kept to what you'd expect from an exorcism type movie, as opposed to the first two movies where they're more supernatural movies. So that's why you get a lot more of the jump scares and more of those kind of scenes. I don't, and I haven't read anybody else's reviews. I just kind of saw headlines to some reviews and what people were saying. I'm going to assume that maybe, some of the reasons why people are so quick to say, oh, well, this is not on top with the first two is because this one really isn't about the jump scares. I'm sure there's some scenes that might have scared some people. Maybe light on the jump scares, but I don't think I wouldn't hold anything in this movie on par with the first two as far as the jump scares and the intention to really scare you in that way. I think that this one was more of a we're gonna tell, we have a story to tell, and you have the exorcism at the beginning, so we're gonna do our exorcism thing there, and we're just gonna present you with some dark moments here in this movie, and some creepiness, and kind of show you the evil, but then also show you the good, and I think that that's another thing that you've seen consistently through the three movies, is that no matter what has happened, the movie always brings it back to Ed and Lorraine's love, and how bonded they are, and how whatever situation they're in, they're always, they obviously have concern for the person they're helping, but they obviously have concern for each other. And I think that this movie also spends time on that, as the other movies did. You're going to see, again, and not, they never let down on that. That's always a key point here. One is always worried about the other, and you're going to see that in this movie as well. So you're going to see that dark side in this movie. You're going to see, obviously, what this young guy has to go through, and what is happening to him as kind of the story unfolds, and you find out what is really happening here. And I kind of want to say it, but I don't, because it would kind of help kind of explain where this story goes. But I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, it is not a ghost story. It is more of a possession story, and I think, not that there aren't other movies where possession is involved that have scares in it. I just don't think that, and again, I didn't read any of what they said about the making of this movie and so forth. It just didn't seem like they made this one in the same way to bring you that. I guess they're trying something different, move in a different direction, and it's a different case and a different way of doing things. um, were, again, I'm saying it again and again, but the first two, I think it's an important point. The first two, were ghost stories and presented great opportunities to scare and to give you that jump scare. Um, where this one, it's just not about that. It is about being dark, about the thing that's possessing the guy, and it's a mystery. It is a mystery that they're trying to unsolve. You're gonna get to see Lorraine kind of work her magic again. It is a little odd, but she has these feelings, and they kind of, her way of kind of knowing things, and they kind of touch on that again, and they try to bring about the dramatics of the end of the movie, and again, it is about dark and love, and light and dark, and love, winning out in the end. I don't think that's a spoiler. I think it's pretty obvious. Uh, if you watch any of these movies, how it's going to end. Um, you know, there are a lot of references to the other movies. No, not really. If you've seen them, or you're just familiar with the couple, and what they do, they kind of bring you the same thing. The acting is going to be solid again. You really just can't complain with what Patrick and Vera have done in any of the three movies, and they work so well together. It's just great to see, and there's no letdown here. And I think the rest of the cast does a solid job as well. You're gonna get a little bit of the other cast. I think another character who ends up adding is John Noble, who, let me see if I remember him correctly. He's been in lots of things, but I think he was in the thing that I'm thinking of, Sleepy Hollow, and kind of his performance in this kind of reminded me of him in Sleepy Hollow for A, B, or C reason. But I'm not going to tell you too much about his character, but I don't know, just the way he acted seemed almost the same kind of way, and strange, odd behavior there. But he plays a role in this, and the little boy was good, and obviously the young man who ends up in the biggest trouble here, he does a great job as well. So yeah, it is going to be a different story here for you, and I guess that's the way it is. I think a lot of people might have had the assumptions, oh, it's The Conjuring, it's time for me to get scared again, and jump out and be on the edge of my seat, and jumping up and down, and that's always a hard thing, because some people have their different levels of scared. Some people scare easily, some don't. I particularly don't, so I don't think anything in this movie particularly scared me. But I don't think that's the emphasis here. It is about the story, about possession. It's just a different story. So if that lets you down, it lets you down. I don't know. There's just no other way to go about it. There's, I guess, a little more I can say, but I would be spoiling the story. So just if you watch it and you kind of see where the movie eventually goes and what is eventually happening, I think if you're a horror fan, you can say, yeah, they could have brought in some more scares, but I liked the direction they went. I don't think I think if they did, they would have been forcing it, and forcing it just in trying to be in the name of The Conjuring to force it. I guess one of the things I was disappointed was, I guess there was no bullet scene or anything at the end that kind of led to where we're going next. Obviously, I said at the beginning that there are some spin-offs of this, and some other demon whatever, demon ghost, whatever you want to call them, characters that kind of go from that. Was there anything in this movie that could have been spun off? I'm trying to think. When I was watching, I was kind of trying to make myself pay attention to that and remember that. And again, I'm trying to be spoiler free. Um, I guess where everything in this movie kind of, what's at the head of where this movie comes from, or what's going on here. Um, I guess there could be. I guess if they wanted, if they had to reach for that, they could um, come up with a reasoning spinning off of this movie of it. But overall, I guess this is just another case, and I guess if they do another Conjuring movie, it will just be of another case they do. Um, I fully expect them to do another one, just because of the draw that it has, and and so forth. They could very easily call it a wraps and be like, hey, this is a trilogy and that's it, and focus on some of the spin-offs and so forth. But I would fully expect at least a fourth movie. Just kind of thinking about it, I can envision, at least going five, for some reason. Why not do six? Make it six. We got ghosts and spirits and supernaturals and demons, and make it six. Six is always a good number when that's concerned. But yeah, I know some people then complain, well, it gets tiring and boring and it's the same thing. But why not? Let's do it. Let's see what they do. But yeah, I'm gonna give this one. I should have looked to see what I gave the other two. I don't remember what I gave the other two. But I'm gonna give this one 3.5 pools of blood. Just because it's another solid movie. I didn't go into it saying that they had to scare me. They had to make me fall off my seat, close my eyes, or have a heart attack. They really didn't. I knew I was going to get good acting. I expected a good story, and I got it. I got good acting, and I got it. I liked, I liked where the story went. I liked what they did and how they unfolded it. There wasn't anything that I'm majorly going to complain about. So, with that, I'm going to give it 3.5 pools of blood out of 5. And say that, yeah, it is maybe not on par with the first two movies, like a lot of people are saying, but mostly because I think it is a different movie. It is, and that might be why. And I don't, and again, it's not to take anything away from this movie. This movie is this movie. I think the other two, were closer in relation, and I think you can compare those two more easily with the type of movies they were than this one. Obviously, it centers around the same people, but this one is a different story, and whether that's good for you or that's a disappointment for you, that is going to be up for you to decide. So with that, we'll wrap this up, and horrorsgorereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find more of these reviews, written reviews, as well as these video reviews. So you can always subscribe to the channel if you're just interested in these video ones, but I urge you to visit the blog and check out some of the written reviews. This is a newer movie that I'm doing a video review, but I do some of the other newer movies, especially a lot of Shudder reviews that are written on the blog. So if you're watching Shudder, please visit that and check that out. Twitter, Facebook information down below as well. You can reach me there. We can talk about this movie, other movies, horror in general. Or in the comments section, feel free to comment on this video if you want to reach out to me there as well. If you have something for me to review, I'm happy to take that in consideration. Always busy, but we'll try to make it happen. And with that, the devil is making me end this review. So that's it, and I'll catch you on the next review, horror fans.